There are a few seconds every morning that you don't remember. Not because they're dull, because in those seconds you aren't there yet. The body is already awake. The heart beats, the lungs move. Somewhere at the edge, the room comes through. The hum of the fridge, a car passing, the weight of the blanket lying on you. All of that is already here, and you, not yet. Then, in a fraction of a second, it all comes back. First, where you are. Then, who you are. The name, the age, what day it is and what has to get done in it. Who owes you and who you owe. The money worry, if there is one. That one comes back among the first. The old hurt, if there is one. It takes its usual place. The to-do list unrolls like a map, and there you are again. Assembled, recognizable, ready to walk out into the day. I call this the assembling. And behind that word is something very simple, something we somehow never notice, though we live it every single morning. Every night you come apart. Every morning you're put back together. And almost always, out of yesterday's pieces, the same thoughts as yesterday, the same reactions, the same tone you look at your day through, the same person who lay down to sleep. The numbers on the calendar change, and the assembling stays the same. The job can change. The city, the apartment, the people around you can change. But the pattern you're put together by stays the same. And so your life, under all the new scenery, stays recognizably the old life. And here's the quietest part. From the inside, the repetition is almost invisible. Each new morning doesn't feel like a repeat. It feels like, this time it's different. It feels like you're moving forward in a straight line. And all the while you're moving in a circle so familiar it looks like a straight line. But come back with me to those few seconds, to the gap between you aren't there yet and there you are again. Because right there, in that narrow seam, is everything worth watching this for. In that short moment, before the hand of the assembling has reached for yesterday's pieces, you can be put together differently, not by force, not by gritting your teeth, more quietly than that, and more precisely, by choosing what you're assembled from. This is a secret kept by those who knew how the morning truly works. I'm not calling you into a fairy tale. Wake up someone else, and your life changes on its own. It's deeper than that, and older. And you'll touch it yourself. Tomorrow, the moment you open your eyes, before the first thought. So let's go slowly, from the very beginning, without rushing. And the first question isn't even, what do I do? We'll get to that in full. The first question is, what actually happens at night while you're being taken apart, and why you're put together in the morning exactly the way you are, and no other way? This circle has always been known. In the East, they called it the wheel, samsara, the soul going around the same circle, life after life, until it wakes and steps off. Those who were initiated knew the same thing and named it otherwise. A forking of worlds, where out of 1,000 possible continuations one comes true, the one you gave yourself to. The names differ. The thing underneath is one. And the thing underneath is simple. You are put back together. And what's assembled lives? Whichever version of yourself you've put together by morning, that's the reality you'll spend the day inside. And the world answers it, word for word. Now look closely at what the assembling draws from. This is worth seeing, because everything else grows out of here. The assembling doesn't draw from your decisions. It draws from familiar pieces, from whatever already lies in the kit and reaches for the hand on its own. It seems like it's you who wants that car. And often it's a piece set into you long ago. An ad, someone else's example, somebody's "this is how it's done" picked up in childhood. It seems like it's your own fear of risk. And often it's a fear not born in you, absorbed once, from someone else's life, from a sentence you heard at 6. It seems like it's your character, the way you speak to yourself when something goes wrong. And it's a voice that once sounded over you, and you simply kept it as your own. And the old piece is always heavier than the new one. It has a deep groove, worn over years. It lies nearest of all and calls the hand first, before you've even woken. Not because you chose it, but because it's familiar, like an old ache, and the hand reaches for the known on its own. That's how the circle holds you. Not with chains, with the habit of the hand. This is why change comes so hard. You can switch jobs and assemble yourself in the new one out of the same pieces, and 6 months in, recognize the old heaviness in the new office. You can move to the other end of the earth and carry the kit with you in a suitcase, and one morning, in a strange city, wake up as exactly the same person. You can start a relationship with a clean slate and watch, with a quiet dread, the old familiar pattern come through on that slate. The scenery changed. The assembling didn't. And none of this is your fault. You aren't weaker than anyone. You aren't trying wrong. The scheme you're put together by each morning simply went untouched, and the hand dutifully assembles by it, day after day, year after year. For this to change, you first have to see the assembling itself. This is the law, and it's a simple one. What's seen can be put together anew. What stays in the dark goes on being assembled for you, on its own, out of whatever's nearest. And the moment you take this in, the first real question surfaces. Not what do I do, but what is a person assembled from at the root? What is that load-bearing piece, the one without which no figure will stand, no matter how you try? The load-bearing piece of the assembling is not a thought, and not an action. It's your state, the quiet inner tone you woke in and live in without noticing, calm, or clenched, open, or braced to defend, lightness, or a heaviness spread underneath before any thought. This note rises first, and only under it do the thoughts get chosen, and under the thoughts, the actions. Not the other way around. First the tone, then everything else. And here is how that shows. Take a day when it's heavy inside. The very same tasks look unliftable on a day like that. The very same people grate on you. The very same piece of news frightens you. Now take a day when it's light inside. The very same tasks all but do themselves. The very same people seem warmer. The very same news doesn't catch. The events didn't change. The note you looked at them through did. Your state is the lens you see everything through. Change the lens, and the world looks different, though nothing in it has moved an inch. And here is why willpower so rarely works. You can force yourself to do something new. For a week, 2, a month. You can go on a regimen, start showing up where you're supposed to, grit your teeth and pull. But if the note underneath is the old note, the hand assembles the old figure every morning, and one day the strength runs out, and you slide back to where you began. And then the most poisonous feeling comes. See, it doesn't work for me. I'm not one of the ones it works for. But it couldn't have worked, because you were changing the action without touching the note the action grows from, pulling on the effect, leaving the cause untouched. And reality, if you look, answers strangely selectively. Not to what you say out loud that you want, to the note that sounds under the words. You can long for plenty, and wake in clenchedness, in a quiet, how do I survive? And then the day assembles exactly what confirms the clenchedness. You can dream of closeness and put yourself together out of mistrust, out of bracing for a blow, holding everyone at arm's length. And closeness circles nearby but finds no way in. The wish lives up top in the words. What answers is what's underneath, the note. And while the two are at odds, you can want all you like up top, now. About the night itself, where the morning even gets this power to reassemble. The ancients knew what the world is only now beginning to fumble toward. They said, in sleep the soul crosses the river and comes back washed. Sleep is not a drop into emptiness, not a pause. Sleep is a crossing. Every night you're led past the edge of the familiar, taken apart piece by piece, the day's settled murk rinsed away. And what's left until morning is clean, warm clay. The priestesses at the fire knew this hole in the body. And they didn't prove it, they did it. What the world reaches after only now was plain to them from the start. Sleep is not a pause. Sleep is work. The quietest workshop you own, and every night it makes you ready again. And every morning that clay waits for a hand, soft for a few more seconds, before it sets into yesterday's shape. The only question is, whose hand? And which pieces it reaches for first. The hand that assembles you each morning is your attention. This is worth saying plainly, because here is the lever to all the rest. Wherever attention is aimed, the force flows. What you look at long and steadily grows, thickens, takes on weight in your life. Look at the lack. The lack strengthens, takes up more room, becomes the day's main character. Look at what's already getting to its feet in you, and that strengthens. Attention is not neutral. It's a gardener. It waters what it's turned toward and dries out what it's turned away from. So everything we'll do from here comes down to one simple skill: learning to hold this hand, laying your attention where you want to be assembled from, and not letting it run off wherever. And run off it does, these days, with terrible ease. Listen to how an ordinary morning goes. The eyes are barely open, and the hand already reaches for the phone. And in those few precious seconds, while the clay is soft, other people's thoughts move into you, other people's worries, other people's news, other people's hurry, ahead of your own. The gap closed. The assembling went by someone else's blueprint. Then the commute. Noise, fragments, a dozen small errands jostling in the head at once. Then the workday, tasks overlapping, switching, distraction. Then evening, a screen until sleep, and again other lives pour into you as you fall asleep. And by night, the attention isn't yours at all. It belongs to whatever shouted loudest. In that state, change doesn't move. And again, not because you want it weakly, because change needs gathered force, and force spilled into 100 little streams reaches nowhere. Picture it. 5 minutes a day you think about who you want to become, and 23 hours and 55 minutes about anything else down other people's channels. Well, reality doesn't assemble you from those 5 minutes. It assembles you from the other 23. Not from your best intention, from wherever your attention spends most of its hours. It sounds almost merciless, and in that very fact is all the hope. Because attention is the one thing in all of this that's truly in your hands. Not events, not other people, not the past, but where to look, that you choose. And so the hand that assembles you can become your own. From here, I'll lead you into the practice, slowly, step by step, so you can do it tomorrow. I'll bring you to the threshold by the hand. But across the threshold itself, each one steps alone. It's the door no one can open for you. I give the movements. To walk them and feel the note shift. That's only yours. And don't think it over. Do it. The power here isn't in understanding, it's in living it through. Do it, and the morning answers. On its own. We'll start with what scatters the hand most of all, a blurred goal. Choose one. Not 10, not 5. One. The most important to you now. The one that, if it shifts, pulls the rest after it. And here's why just one. A blurred or scattered attention has nothing to take hold of. I want things to get better. The hand slides off. There's nothing to grip, no shape. A clear image holds on its own. Describe it as if it already is, in the present, in detail. Not, I want money, but concretely, how much, by when, doing what, how it feels to live in it, how it feels to breathe in the morning, what's changed in the simplest thing, in the way you open your eyes. The clearer and more bodily the picture, the more easily attention returns to it on its own, with no prodding. The blurred is forgotten. The clear one calls. Next, anchors. One morning thought isn't enough. It gets blown off within the first half hour of the day, the moment it begins. So set reminders, not in your head, but in the space around you, so they catch you on their own. A photo of what you're building on your phone screen, so it meets you each time you pick it up. A short note where your eye is sure to land. The mirror, the door, by the kettle. A smooth stone in your pocket that your fingers find by chance in the middle of the day. Everyone's anchor is their own. The one thing that matters. Each time it catches your eye or your hand, attention comes back to the goal. On its own. That's what an anchor is for. It holds the hand for you while you're busy with other things. And 2 quiet rituals in the day, a morning one and an evening one. The morning is best caught in that very gap, in the first minutes, still in bed, while the clay is soft and the day hasn't started. Don't grab the phone. Lie with your eyes closed. Take a few slow, deep breaths. Let the body settle. And then, step inside the image of the goal. Not think positive by force, but be there as if it's already come true. Where you are, what's around you, what you feel in the body when it's already here. A few minutes. The mind will drift. That's fine. Don't scold it. You noticed it drifted. You gently brought it back, the way you bring someone back to the path. That's the whole of the work. Drifted, brought back, drifted, brought back. And only then get up into the day. You'll come out of those minutes already assembled differently, and the anchors carry the assembling from there. In the evening, a few minutes of gratitude. Before sleep, go back over the day and find the small thing that brought you nearer the goal, even a tiny one, even just, today I remembered who I want to become. This isn't a syrupy, everything's fine. It's a way of showing your attention where to look and falling asleep on that note, so the night workshop works with it already. 2 anchors a day, at the start and at the close, hold the hand in place, while it's still learning to hold on its own. And now the most delicate of the movements, the cutting away. Force isn't only to be gathered. You also have to stop spilling it for nothing. And here it's important not to turn this into violence against yourself, into a new harsh diet of everything's forbidden. Gently, gradually, one thread at a time. Just begin to notice where the force leaks into nowhere, and quietly close those channels. The aimless feed you enter for a minute, and surface from 2 hours later, not knowing where they went or what they took. The series for background, which you keep as rest while it quietly draws the attention out of you hour by hour, so you rise from it not rested but emptied. The conversations after which it's hard to breathe. I'm not calling you to go dry and cold and shut to everything. I'm calling you to something else. That the force you don't have much of as it is should go where you aimed it. and not run off down other people's random channels, leaving you with nothing by evening. And running through all these movements is one rule, the one everything rests on. If you remember only this from the chapter, that's already enough. State before action, always. You can do 1,000 things in a day. You can drop from the effort and be proud of how busy you are. But if the note underneath is the old note, the figure assembles old by evening. So first the tone, and only then the deed. And you change the tone not by talking yourself into it in your head, where you secretly don't believe it, but through the body, through breath, through movement, through how the shoulders sit and how the air goes. Because state isn't only thoughts in the head. It's whether the jaw is clenched, whether the shoulders are up at the ears, whether the breath is shallow and ragged, whether the force stands in a knot under the ribs or flows freely through the body. The body and the note are one, and so there's a direct way into the note, through the body. About that, separately, because you'll need it every day, sooner or later, and most likely more than once a day. You'll notice the note has gone into the minus, the clench, the worry, the dullness that makes everything look grey. This is normal. It happens to every living person. The point isn't never to fall, it's what you do with it. And the first thing, what not to do. Don't try, in that minute, to haul anything important. Out of the minus, you only spoil it, and then go on to blame yourself for a result born of dullness. And don't try to think positive. From inside the clench, it doesn't work. The mind in the minus will find 1,000 reasons the good thing isn't true, and you'll only get angrier at yourself. Arguing with the note on its own ground is a losing game. Instead, switch the body. It's the short way, the one that goes around the mind. Stand up. Stretch the whole body, the way a waking animal stretches. Do 10 squats, just to get the heart going faster. Put on music that lifts you and move to it for a couple of minutes, not thinking how it looks. Or step outside and walk briskly for a quarter of an hour, looking around you. Or cold water, a cold shower, a splash to the face. The body changes the note almost at once, far faster than any words would. And after the note, the thoughts change too, and the way you see the very same circumstances that a minute ago looked hopeless. You're assembled differently again, and now there's something to make a deed from. And now, what I hold to be the strongest of all there is to learn, the witness. Learn to look at yourself a little from the side. Not to drown in the emotion head first, not to fuse with a thought until it becomes the whole sky, but to notice, calmly, like a bystander. So, worry is rising in me now, curious. The body's drawn in, the shoulders up at the ears, the breath quick, the thoughts running the same circle, without judging, without the lunge to fix it all at once, just to see it and name it. And here is what happens in that very moment. And this is worth living, not just understanding. While you're watching, you're already not inside the program. You're above it. An old piece, a habitual fear, a habitual hurt, a habitual I won't manage, has power over you only as long as you're fused with it, as long as you are it. But the second you've seen it from the side and named it, the old piece has switched on. That's not me, that's a piece from the kit. The lever breaks. A gap opens between you and it, the same gap as in the morning, only now in the middle of the day. And into that gap you're free to choose, to follow the old piece or not, to assemble out of habit or out of the note you choose. This is the stepping off the circle the ancients spoke of, not someday after, not in another life, but in the very second you noticed, each time anew. And here it's worth starting small, or you'll quit on the third day. A few minutes in the morning, the hand on the goal in the gap. A few minutes in the middle of the day, the look at yourself from the side when the note slides down. That's enough to start with, truly. Give it time. In a week, something will shift, barely. You may not even catch what. In a month, it'll show. And in a few months, you'll look back over your life and not recognize it. Not because an outer miracle happened, but because every morning you assembled yourself out of other pieces, and the figure became, at last, another one. Change doesn't come here in a flash. It gathers quietly, the way water wears stone. And one day, the stone is already different. But there's something that can undo even the truest, most diligent assembling. And this has to be said separately, or you'll be trying with everything you have and not understand where it all goes. You can be doing everything right, holding the hand, changing the note, coming back to your state through the body, and still be empty by evening, as if you hadn't tried at all, because the assembling has holes, and the force leaks through them faster than you can gather it. However much you gather, it runs out. Let's go through the main ones. There aren't many, and each one can be closed. The first, chaos. Unfinished business. Not one or two. Dozens. Promised and not done. Started and dropped. The I really should, but never get to it. Each such thing holds a thin thread of your attention on itself. And attention, we remember, is force. And so 100 unclosed things is attention torn into 100 little pieces, a thread to each. And for the new, the main thing, there's nothing left. You're tired not from what you do, but from everything that hangs undone and quietly pulls in the background. What to do with it? Sit down and write out everything that hangs. Everything promised, started, put off, forgotten but remembered. Get it out of your head and onto paper. That alone makes it lighter, because the head stops standing guard over it all. Then go down the list and make a decision on each. Doing it now, doing it on such and such a day, and write the day in, handing it to someone else, or crossing it out entirely. And crossing out is its own kind of strength. Much of the list isn't really that important. It just landed there once and has been pulling as ballast ever since, the meaning long gone. Cut that thread. Let it go. Allow yourself not to do it. The freed attention you'll feel almost physically. It gets easier to breathe. The second, the ties that leave you empty. There are people you come away from with a heaviness in the chest and no strength for anything. And it isn't that they're bad. Often it's hard for them too, empty inside, and in the talking they lean, without meaning to, on your force, reach for it, and you come away wrung out, not knowing why. If you've noticed this in yourself after talking with someone, here is what's actually happening while you're drawn in emotionally. Into an argument, a hurt, a need to answer and to prove. Your attention is wholly caught. And after attention, the force flows too, down that channel, away from you. That's the heaviness afterward. Some of the force is gone. It shows most where someone seems to be looking for a thing to snag you on the bus, in a chat, in the comments under anything at all. The provocation waits for exactly one thing, for you to engage, to start proving, arguing, defending your rightness. Someone nearby complains loudly or tosses out something needling, watching to see if you'll answer. Someone writes a barb you flatly disagree with, and you're pulled to answer, to explain how they're wrong. And the moment you engage, there, the force has flowed. You come out of it emptied and wound up, and the other one as if filled. I've noticed this in myself too. When we're so pulled to prove something, underneath it is almost always a need to defend our right to be ourselves, with our own opinion and choice. And where that need isn't there, where it's calm and whole inside, there's no pull to prove anything to anyone, even when you're right. What to do with it? Gently, no drama. No scenes, no loud announcements of "you drain me, I'm done with you." That only stirs a storm and spills more. Just begin to notice who you come away heavier from, and give yourself a little more air around those people. Get drawn into their funnels less. Where you can, shorter, calmer, at a slightly greater distance. And the provocation, learn to let it pass. Not to answer, not to look, not to engage, even when you badly want to, and even when you're right. Keep your attention with you, and that means keeping your force with you. And all of this, not out of hardness, not out of pride, out of care for yourself. Guarding your force is not selfishness. It's simply what you'll have nothing to assemble a new life from without. The third, aimless consuming. The feed, series for background, news that has nothing to do with you. Other people's stories you fall into for half a day. All of it, under the guise of rest, quietly drains the attention into nowhere. 3 hours a day on scrolling is 3 hours of force gone into other people's lives. And for your own life, there's none left. And the remedy here isn't a stern ban. It'll break. But clarity and a little distance. Make it so you have to reach for the feed, not fall into it at the first move. Go in when there's something to do, and come out, having done it, without sticking around for just one more minute. A series, when you genuinely want to rest and be inside a story, not for background that the evening leaks away under. And the news. Ask yourself straight whether you need it in that volume at all. Being out of the loop on other people's far-off troubles is a small loss next to being, at last, in the loop on your own life, where you're going, what you feel, what you want. The fourth, unexpressed feelings. A swallowed hurt, anger judged inconvenient and pushed down, a fear it feels shameful to name. A feeling is a movement of force, and when it isn't let out, it lodges inside and holds a part of you on itself. It doesn't vanish because you didn't show it. It simply stays inside, takes up room, and quietly pulls, like one more unclosed thing, only hidden deeper. The remedy is to let the feeling move through the body, not run it in circles in the head, living it over and over. Anger. Beat a pillow, stamp your feet, go out where no one is and shout. Write a furious letter to the one you're angry at and don't send it. Tear it up. Sadness. Cry, really, without holding back. It isn't weakness, it's a rinsing. And after it, it's quieter inside. Fear. Name it out loud, plainly. I'm afraid of this. Named and let through the body, it loosens its grip and gives back the force it held. The unspoken just piles up and pulls harder and harder. And the fifth, splitting, the try to do it all at once. 10 things at the same time feel like speed and competence. And in fact, it's pure scattering. The attention jumps from one to another. The force spreads thin, and not one of the 10 is done as it should be. More than that, each switch steals the remainder too. By the time you've gotten back into a task, remembered where you stopped, settled in, time and force are gone, and so it goes dozens of times a day. The remedy is simple to say and hard to do. One thing, in one stretch of time, to the end, finished, moved on to the next. It seems slower, and it comes out faster and cleaner because the force isn't spread in a thin layer over everything at once, but gathered into a single beam, striking one point. Close these holes, not all at once, but little by little, one at a time, and you'll be amazed how much force was there all along. It'll stop leaking through the cracks and start to gather. and then the changes go almost on their own, almost without effort. Not because a miracle happened, but because at last you have something to assemble them with. There's one note out of which change comes easily, almost in play, without the strain and the struggle. And it's worth saying separately, because so many drag their new life like a heavy cart uphill, when it can go otherwise. I call this note a child's assembling. And right away, let's clear up the confusion. This isn't a childish stance. The childish stance is, everyone owes me, decide for me, I'm not the one at fault. It's about shrugging off responsibility. A child's assembling is almost the opposite. It's openness, flexibility, curiosity, absorption in the doing itself, not only in the reward for it. Watch a small child sometime. It's all there to see. He doesn't know the word impossible. He doesn't ask in advance, but what if it doesn't work out? He doesn't try on how it'll look if he stumbles. He just does. Tries, climbs, explores, takes things apart. Learning to walk. He falls, gets up. Falls again, gets up again. And he isn't ashamed, and he doesn't count the falls as failures. He's curious, absorbed in the movement itself. For him, the world is still an adventure, not an exam you can flunk. And over the years, something else gathers in us. Beliefs, rules. I already know how it all works and what comes of what. And this knowing is a double-edged thing. It protects, and it also becomes a tight cage. It won't let you see what isn't written in it, and so it won't let you toward the new. A child doesn't know how it's done, and so he sees moves the grown-up, sure of his knowing, no longer makes out. What to take from this, quite practically, into your life. Become, for a while, a beginner in your own life. Look at thee, familiar as if seeing it for the first time. At your day, your work, the people close to you. If a way isn't working, don't push at it to exhaustion. Set it aside and try another and another and another. Play with it rather than fight it. Stop being afraid of getting it wrong. A mistake is no verdict and no brand, just reality's answer. This way's not it, turn. The more tries, the sooner the right turn is found. And let go of the heavy, what will they think of me? It holds tighter than any chains and won't let you be yourself. Do a thing not for approval, not for someone's grade, but for yourself. And the warmest thing in this chapter, remember yourself at 5, 6, 7. What did you love then? What did you do so absorbed that you forgot to eat and didn't notice the dark come down? Maybe you drew. Maybe you danced around the room. Maybe you climbed trees or built something out of whatever was at hand. And now ask quietly, without reproach, when did you last do that? It may well have been long ago, or that since then. Not once, because it's not serious, it doesn't make money, it's silly for a grown person. Go back to it. Not for the use of it, for the plain joy. Buy paints and draw, however you can. Put on music and move around the room the way you moved then. Go where you can simply play. This isn't fooling around, isn't wasted time. It's a return to the source the force flows from on its own, without any technique. When you do what you truly love, you come alive, you unfold, you remember some original taste for life. And out of that note, any change goes easily, because you're no longer fighting, no longer dragging the cart uphill. You're playing, and play is the natural way of growing, the very one we all once knew how to use. And here it matters not to tear yourself in two, into the spiritual and the earthly, as if they were enemies. There's the path of monks and hermits, into the mountains, the caves, into simplicity and silence, letting go of almost all the material. It's a beautiful path and a real one. I don't belittle it for a moment. There, in that silence, money truly isn't needed. It's all arranged so you can do without it, and a person can be genuinely happy. If something calls someone there, that's a true calling. But if you live among people, in a city, in work, with a family, with children, with obligations, your conditions are different, and pretending they aren't is pointless. You need a roof over your head, and the roof has to be paid for. You need food, transport, care for those near you. And none of this is low or unspiritual. It's part of your being here in a body. You came here, into a body, onto this earth, into this time. Not by accident, and if you're here, then your path runs through this earth, through living this life fully, not around it. I've seen people who went into the spiritual head first. Hours of meditation, high and beautiful words, talk of subtle matters. And alongside it, debts, unpaid bills, a life in disarray, a constant unsettledness waved off as something beneath their attention. And here is what I know. True height isn't in turning away from the earth and counting it beneath you. It's in balance, when you're both quiet within and standing firm without. When awareness doesn't keep you from being able and effective in the world, and the world's affairs don't drown your inner quiet. When the inner and the outer work together, not pulling you in two directions. And here is what quietly happens when you walk this middle path. The path of assembling, not of fleeing. You grow within, without noticing it. You learn to hold attention on one thing. And that is the very ground of all meditation, its core. You learn to notice your own pieces from the side without fusing with them. And that is the ground of all inner freedom. You learn to be in your state, not in blind reaction. And that is presence, the very thing people go toward for years. You join with your own depth, not through turning away from the body and the world, not through scorning them, but through living here fully, ably, and whole. Assembling yourself with no seam between heaven and earth. Every morning you are put back together, but the hand that assembles you can become your own. And then the question is no longer whether to choose spirit or earth. It's to assemble yourself whole, the quiet part and the earthly one both in one figure with no crack down the middle. We've come a long way together. From those few seconds in which you aren't there yet, to catching them and assembling yourself otherwise. And here is what I want to leave you with at the end. The thing without which all the rest stays beautiful words. None of it is worth anything while it stays knowledge in the head. You can listen to the end, nod. Yes, interesting, well put. Close it, and tomorrow wake as the same assembling out of the same yesterday's pieces in the same spot. And a year on, find yourself in the same place, maybe with new scenery, but in essence in the same circle. Reality doesn't answer what's heard and understood. It answers what's done. A change of note, a hand laid differently even once. Knowledge without movement just lies there, like a seed not planted. And the movement has to be repeated. Not once, but day after day. Change here is no flash, but a gathering. A return to the same quiet act, again and again, especially on the days it seems nothing is happening and it's all for nothing. A month, and the first shift appears. A few months, and you look back over a life you no longer recognize. But only if you don't quit halfway, at the very spot where people usually quit, deciding it doesn't work. Start small. With a few minutes in the morning, in the gap. With a few minutes in the middle of the day, when the note has slid down, with one hole written out and closed, with one thing you loved at 7 and dropped, not all at once, small, but start, and don't let go. And tomorrow, in those very few seconds while you aren't there yet, while the clay is still warm, catch the gap. Before the hand reaches, out of habit, for yesterday's pieces. And ask yourself quietly, what am I assembling from today? Out of yesterday's worry, because it lies nearest of all? Or out of the note I choose to be? Every morning you are put back together. Now you know whose hand it is. You are not the figure that has been assembling itself all these years out of whatever was nearest. You are the hand that assembles. And the clay, every morning, is still warm, still soft, still waiting. And now, to you. Write one thing in the comments, just one. The piece you've been assembling yourself from until now, and the one you're laying in its place starting tomorrow morning. Maybe in place of, there's never enough for me, I have enough to live from. In place of, I have to please everyone, I choose whom I answer to. In place of, it won't work out for me anyway, I'm simply not there yet. When you name the old piece out loud, in the light, it loses part of its power over you. That is the very first movement of your hand. Name it, and assemble yourself otherwise.